Thank you for tuning in to MacroView Television, and welcome to another brand new edition of the Taiwan Outlook, the program that gives you the different faces and lets you hear the different voices of Taiwan. I'm your host, Ray Guo. Let me start off today's program with a question. Do you enjoy going to the parks in your leisurely time? And do you know what government agency in Taiwan is responsible for the management of national parks? On today's program, we're delighted to have Dr. Cheng Chien-Chung, Charles Chen, who's currently an associate professor of the Department of Biomedical Science and Environmental Biology at the Kaohsiung Medical University, to talk about the state of national parks in Taiwan. Professor Chen, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Raymond. And also good day to every audience.
Okay. Well, Professor, I'm going to start off with a question that, as we know, starting January 1st in 2012, the Department of National Park Construction and Planning, currently under the Ministry of the Interior, will be upgraded, to be under the new Ministry of Environment and Resources, and it's going to be called the National Park Administration. This upgrade in terms of the administrative status of the agency that's responsible for national parks in Taiwan certainly gives an indication that our government is paying a lot more attention and resources on the maintenance of national parks in Taiwan. Can you then tell us, as an expert, what is the significance behind this administrative upgrade of the government agency responsible for the management of national parks?
Thank you. It's a very nice question, and also it's a very timely question. And frankly, I would like to know what you are asking me.
Well,
yes.
Yeah.
I will try to respond what I know and I can tell you and all our audience. The first thing is our government has been changed quite a long time, through a long time. It has been established about 100 years ago.
Yes.
And also, it always keep the same frame about 40 or 60 years ago. But if it's good, certainly we know.
Yes.
That is why they are trying to simplification, to make the frame simplified and also make it flexible.
Yes.
And they are trying to increase or enhance the efficiency. So that's the goal. That's the goal. Certainly, when we are talking about the National Park Service or National Park Administration, that's only very small gear in our government.
Okay.
Yeah. Certainly, it is very important for us. For example, in the last 6 years, I served as a member of our National Park Planning Committee in our Department of Interior. I found once we are going to discuss some questions, talking about the national park, some changing, some new park is going to establish, but we have to take so many times and so many different meetings to communicate with other government departments, other government agencies.
Yes.
So it takes a long time. So the efficiency for communication, it was so low efficient, I would say.
Okay.
Yeah.
But do you think by upgrading the National Park Administration to a higher administrative status, will that help in terms of the upkeep of national parks in Taiwan?
Yes, that's true. Especially for one very key point, that is, now they're trying to integrate all the related agencies, administrations to one department. That is so-called the Ministry of Environmental and Resources. Yes. They put them all together. So in one ministry, I was trying to image that would be much more better than it was.
And we also see, as you mentioned, that our government is trying to, through this administrative changes, trying to increase our administrative efficiency. And we see the management responsibility of national parks in Taiwan has been shifted from the Ministry of Interior to the new Ministry of the Environment and Resources.
Yes.
Do you think that is the global trend in the future, that other countries may also set up something similar as a Ministry of the Environment and Resources and be responsible for the management of national parks?
Yes, very good question. Talking about our government, our design, and also our infrastructures in our country, we can say we're still learning.
Yes.
We're still learning. For example, in United States, they are using the Ministry of Interior as their host ministry to manage the national park. They have a national park service. Yeah. And also in Japan, they're using the Ministry of Environment,
Okay.
so-called 环境省, to manage their national parks
Okay.
and designated national parks.
Okay.
Yeah, that's different, quite interesting. So I would say the good idea is if we put all related agencies in one department, that will save a lot of communication cost
Okay.
and increase their efficiency.
Okay.
Yeah.
And with this new Ministry of the Environment and also Resources, what do you think will be the priorities for this new ministry, especially vis-a-vis the management of national parks?
Yeah, that's talking about the reality and our idea. The idea is if we can put all the related agencies to one department or in one ministry, that will increase or enhance their efficiency. But so far as we know, according to some old information, our latest information, what we know is they are behind schedule quite a lot. Right. According to the original schedule, it should be finished all the law-related issues should be done last year.
Okay.
Last year. And this year is related to some personnel affairs and also make some arrangements for their, for example, for their buildings, for their general affairs.
Okay.
But the reality is because of a tight budget and also tight schedules, tight time scales, that will make these kind of things very, very difficult. Very difficult. Even I heard some information, inside information, or untable informations. Some of people, they are very worried, very worried. Yeah, they're worried about if it's possible to have their agency work next year.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's less than 6 months.
Yes, of course. And let me ask you though, Professor Chen, can you give us an overview, comprehensive overview of the state of the national parks in Taiwan? For example, what are their respective nature or characteristics of each of the national parks in Taiwan?
Well, I'm afraid I can't give you all the information about our 8 national parks.
Okay.
But generally we can say, according to different time schedule and different status of our national parks, we can generally to divide them in different aspects. For example, for some urban-related, our human-related, our historical-related national parks. For example, Taijiang, the newest one.
Yes.
Jinmen, it was a war zone.
Yes.
Yeah? And Kending is very close to the town, Hengchun, and also Yangmingshan National Park. It's very close to our Taipei.
Of course.
Yeah, you can find for example, for Taijiang, it's still okay because it's very new. But for those other national parks, you may find the human conflicts and between their interests and the national park services. Sometimes getting very serious.
Okay.
Getting very serious. And also our administrations, they are doing their jobs, I would say quite well, but still behind the expect from our people, our people. So they're still moving.
Right.
We can find they're still moving.
All right.
They're still moving. But we do need to do something more to integrate all our government services to help them, make this kind of improvement much more efficient and much more reliable.
Okay.
Another aspect is for some high mountain national parks like Yushan, Xueba,
of course.
Tailugge. I would say they are very good. They are very good, efficient to protect our homeland. For example, for last 2 or 3 years, we experienced a lot of natural disasters.
In Taiwan, yes.
In Taiwan, we have typhoon, we have flood. Even 10 years ago, 11 years ago, we had a very serious earthquake. But in the range of our national parks, you may find no human life cost, no human life lost. Not like in other county or city. Now they have very serious disaster. They lost a lot of lives,
Property.
Properties, and also, I would say, talking about our homeland governance, our Earth governance, I would say, because of those high mountain national parks, they reduced a lot of cost of disasters.
Okay.
We cannot keep disasters come to us, but we can reduce the
Certainly
cost.
tried, of course.
Yeah, we cannot, 我们做不到这个防灾, but we can 减灾.
We can try to reduce the damage.
Reduce the damage.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're going to take a first break on our program today, and when we come back, we will continue our conversation with Professor Cheng Chien-Chung from the Kaohsiung Medical University to talk about the prospects and the challenges ahead for the national parks in Taiwan. I'll see you in just a few minutes. Welcome back to today's program here on the Taiwan Outlook. I'm your host, Ray Guo, where we'll continue our conversation with Professor Cheng Chien-Chung from the Kaohsiung Medical University to talk about the state of national parks in Taiwan. Professor Chen, we talked earlier about the kind of administrative changes that we're going to be seeing on January 1st, 2012, starting with the shift over in terms of responsibility from Ministry of Interior to the new Ministry of the Environment and Resources in terms of managing national parks, and also the administrative upgrade of the Department of National Park Construction and Planning Agency currently to the National Park Administration. Given all these likely changes, what are some of the challenges that you see lying ahead in terms of the kinds of impact that may have in terms of resource allocation, in terms of personnel appointment and management? What are some of the challenges that you see?
Well, let me give you one very simple example. Yeah, just like a teacher, we always want to give you an example. For example, for our department in our university,
yes,
the principals, our president, always want me, could you change your name? Could you change your name? Your name is Department of Biology. It's too old. It's out of date.
Okay.
And I asked them, why? Why should we change? Because we're teaching biology. We are biologists. And you are medical biologists too.
Okay.
Because you're doing research. Then after year, the pressure is coming higher and higher and higher. Okay. It's very interesting. It's only happened in Taiwan. It's only happened in Taiwan, not in United States, not in United Kingdom. Yes. Then some chairperson in our department, they cannot carry the burden, so they accept, yes, we're going to change.
Okay.
Now, what we're going to change? We're going to change to our reality.
All right.
What we are doing.
Okay.
We are doing biomedical science.
Yes.
We are doing environmental biology.
Okay.
Okay. That is the name of our department.
Of course.
Yes. So now we are going to do our environment and resources governance in our department. Certainly, we have the name, Ministry of Environment and Resources. That's very good.
Okay.
That's a reality. That's reality. Also, for national parks, that's their job.
Okay.
So we have National Park Administration. That's very good. But what I'm understanding is, what are they doing for the future? Should they work as a team with their colleagues in different administrations, in the same ministry?
Okay. All right.
That will be the challenge. That will be the challenge, I would say.
Okay.
So far, we haven't seen any kind of this kind of team workship has been established.
All right. All right.
Yeah.
So that still remains to be an issue of coordination, even within the same administration.
Perhaps it's not an issue, but it is still unknown.
Unknown.
Still unknown.
All right.
Even some people, they expect we should waiting for our senior person to give our direction.
All right.
That will be a bit dangerous.
Okay.
And I would say perhaps it is not as we expect as our people.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So perhaps I would suggest our government, our senior officers, they should do something now,
Okay.
following their schedule.
All right. And Professor, let me ask you something a little more generic, fundamental. Can you tell us, including the people who are watching our program today, what is the definition of a national park? What makes a national park a national park? We have so many parks around Taiwan, big and small and different nature. Some are close by to the ocean, some are, high up in the mountains. What does it make, for a regular park to become a national park?
Yes. Talking about this question, make me feel like in the classroom.
Yes, Professor.
Please. But I will not talking about in very academic answer. But I will say, talking about this term, national parks.
Okay.
You can trace back to almost 150 years ago or something, when the American National Yellowstone National Park has been established.
Of course.
Since then, or even more than that, older than that, that's Yosemite, our California Redwood National Monument has been established.
Yes.
That's even older than
Older
that.
than that.
Why? Why they're thinking about these things? Yeah. For our national parks, and we can follow the same spirit, same concept,
Okay.
same definition. We are going to conserve our environment. We are going to protect our environment. And also we are trying to use this area to do some research, to let our people, to educate our offsprings, our younger generations, to understand what the ecosystem is running there. And also, we want our people, we can enjoy this kind of environment. Yeah. So-called, that is, so we can say conservation, education,
Yes.
recreation, and the research are the main core value of this national park around the world.
Okay.
So far, we have more than 2,000 national parks around the world.
Around the world.
Yes.
Okay.
And they all following the same core value.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay. And Professor Chen, let me ask you then, given the fact that you talk about the first national park around the world was back in the days 150 years ago in the U.S., the Yellowstone National Park. And the first national park in Taiwan was established back in 1984 at the Kending National Park. Can you tell me, share with us some of the difficulties, back 30 years ago when national park was, I believe at the time, was a brand new concept in Taiwan. How difficult was it to get the government accept such a notion and also identify Kending Park as a first national park in Taiwan?
Yeah. For our national park in Taiwan, certainly Taiwan is not always controlled by our people.
Of course.
In last 2 or 3 centuries, sometimes it was occupied by Japanese, Imperial Japan government at that time. Then after Second World War, our government has recovered this place.
Okay.
During the Japanese occupation period, they had set some master plan for the national park plan in Taiwan. That's including Kending and Yangmingshan.
Okay.
That is why when we are considering, we are going to have national park, the first thing that's Kending and Yangmingshan. The first 2 national parks.
Okay.
And also when it has been organized or to initiate this plan, it was being done by Department of Interior, just like in United States, Ministry of Interior. But when they started, the government had experienced some little earthquake. The changing the organization.
Okay.
They had some so-called economic planning committee.
All right.
Cheng Chien-Hui is coming up.
Okay.
That's about 30 years ago. So they experienced some change. Who should manage or govern these national parks, those national parks in the future?
Okay.
So since then, they decided, Ministry of Interior, they are going to have put them in the Yingjianshu,
Of course.
National Park Agency.
All right.
So that's the theory, that's the process, that's the history. And in Kending, because that's the very first one,
Of course.
we haven't had any experience.
No.
So even after 17 years, it has been established. The building, the control policy hasn't been switched from the local county to the National Park Service.
Okay. All right.
So that is why when we are going to Kending, we found why we cannot see which part is national park, which part is the township.
Yes. Belongs to the local government.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
That is why, and also that's the very first experience in Taiwan. But until now, we can find the administration office in Kending and the people in Kending. They're quite enjoy.
Of course.
They're
It
quite
becomes
enjoy.
a very important attraction.
Even some village people, they are quite enjoy their community now.
Okay.
For example, Sheding
All right.
community, they are very enjoy. They can live in national park.
Yes, of course, it's very nice surrounding.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
And Professor Chen, we have about a minute left in the program, in this part of the program. And let me ask you that the total area of national parks, the 8 national parks in Taiwan, constitute about 8.65% of the total land space in Taiwan. How does that number compare with other developed countries?
I was very proud to say,
Yes.
talking about the percentage or the proportion of our land protected,
Yes.
we are on the top list.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, that's very,
Yes.
you know,
Even we compare to our friends living in England,
okay.
when I told them we have nearly 20% land has been protected by law,
Okay.
and also we have more than 8% national park.
Okay.
They say, "Wow, it's much more better than
Then
Britain."
what? Yes. Okay.
In Britain.
Certainly delighted to know that Taiwan is among the tops in the world in terms of preservation of the environment. We're going to take another break on our program, and when we come back, we will continue our conversation with Professor Cheng Chien-Chung. I will see you in just a few minutes. Welcome back to the third part of today's program here on the Taiwan Outlook. I'm your host, Ray Guo, where we'll continue our conversation with Professor Cheng Chien-Chung from the Kaohsiung Medical University to talk about the state of Taiwan's national parks. Professor Chen, we were talking earlier about, national park for almost everybody, myself included. It will be a tremendously enjoyable experience to visit, whether it's by the beaches in Kending or up in the mountains in, central Taiwan or in Yangmingshan. But, there are also people who believe that national parks are very conducive to the education of art and, aesthetics, including music. How would you respond to that?
Well, yes. More or less, I would say we almost ignore that part.
Okay.
But in fact, every new national parks, once they established, they're going to have photography contest. So almost all the photographers, they're trying to submit their masterpiece. So every new national park services, they will find, you can, if you go there, you will find very beautiful photographs.
Of course.
And also, for example, in Kinmen, Jinmen National Park, if you go to there, in the summer, you can see the poster. This autumn, this fall, or in this August, especially last 2 October, you can find our very famous musician, Zhang Zhenjie.
Celloist.
Yes, the cellist. He plays his masterpiece, the cello, in the tunnel of Jinmen. You may find in that tunnel just like a very beautiful chamber.
Okay, yes.
Very, very beautiful
indeed.
chamber. Every time, about 1,000 audience, they sit there, enjoy the music.
Okay.
Enjoy the music.
Okay.
That is a very fantastic scenario, I would say.
Yes.
Yes. And also, they have some so-called academic conference talking about the people, especially Aboriginal people, with the national park services in different countries and also in Taiwan.
Okay.
Yeah, that's belong to academic field.
Okay.
But I would say, especially for those concerts, it's a very, very wonderful idea.
Of course.
Yeah.
And certainly very enjoyable experience for people who attend those events.
Yes.
And Professor, you mentioned earlier, just now, about the Aborigines in Taiwan and the national parks. What is the situation in Taiwan, in the relationship between the two, very important, objectives, the maintenance of the Aborigine culture, and also, on the other hand, the protection of the national parks. How does government manage these two very important policy objectives?
Yeah. First of all, I would like to emphasize to conserve the nature.
Okay.
It implies to conserve wildlife and also the culture of human beings.
Yes.
So if we are going to conserve one thing and ignore one thing, it's not balanced.
No.
It's not in balance. So according to our philosophy, our Chinese philosophy, we want everything is in balance. That's so-called Tai Chi and Yin Yang. To make it in balance, to make it durable and make it sustainable. Yeah. So talking about from this viewpoint, you may find if we are going to make the national park, make it success, or to protect or conserve a place very successful, without the habitat, without the habitant, without the residents, without the local people, that's impossible. That's impossible. That is why when we are talking this kind of issue in our classroom, conservation biology,
Yes.
we're always talking about how to deal with people.
Of course.
How to deal with people. When we're talking about the experience of national park in United States,
Yes.
you may find trace back to 200 years ago. There was no human right issue in American Indian people. They can only live in their reserve.
Yes.
They cannot live in national parks.
No.
Yeah. But talking about the people in Taiwan, the Aboriginal people, certainly we're not in 200 years ago.
No.
We're talking about now. We are talking about 2010, 2011. So we have to using the modern human rights idea and concept. So how to cooperate and how to integrate the human right, the cultural of Aboriginal people. That's very important, we will say, our project, our proposal to make national park success. That's very, very important things.
Yes.
And also we can find a very successful experience and example in Jinmen.
Indeed. Okay.
Yeah. Because Jinmen, certainly we know, it was a war zone. In those area, most of the old building almost destroyed or semi-destroyed,
Okay.
nearly destroyed. But the National Park Service, they have done very good job. Especially the first director,
Okay.
李养胜先生. He initiated a very good idea to restore those old buildings, to make contract with the owner, because they are not living in Jinmen. So it was very difficult, but they did it. So now, when we're going to Jinmen, we can see some restored old buildings, old houses, and they turned it to so-called hostel, 民宿. Yeah, to make it very successful and sustainable.
Okay.
Yeah. So, how to deal with people, I would say this is a very good example. They can preserve culture, and also they can preserve and make the national park success.
Yes. Professor, you mentioned earlier also about the first national park in the world, which was the Yellowstone National Park in the U.S. And that certainly has been around for over 150 years and has been a pioneer in terms of how to manage manage a national park, how to educate the people and try to make a balance, like you said, between the people and the environment. And what are some of the lessons that we in Taiwan, as our national parks continue to expand, continue to grow, that we can learn from the experiences from the United States in terms of managing national parks?
Thank you. Seems the theme of our program is always talking about education.
Yes.
Yes. We have learned a lot of things from other national park services in different countries. In United States, we found, for example, for this Yellowstone National Park, it established in 1870 something. But until 1930,
Okay.
they haven't done a lot of things, especially for research and education.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that's I would say even that kind of example, it is good. It is a good negative example.
Yes.
Yeah. And now, certainly, the people in United States, once they are going to do something, they can do very well.
Yeah.
Now, it's a very good example now.
Okay.
They not only doing their job in the management, but also they have established some biological conservation researchers.
Okay.
And also not only wildlife, but also fauna and flora
Okay.
conservation. They have done very well, and education too.
All right.
Why I say so? Because just before the First World War, there was one young gentleman. He started try to find what the national park is doing.
Okay.
He can't find anything related to education, research, those things.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Only governance.
All right.
Only governance. Yeah. And also now, we know in Yellowstone National Park, they have very successfully restoration the gray wolf and also grizzly, the bear.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
And for those kind of research and work and study, it is a very famous example in our textbook of ecology.
All right.
For example, for that grizzly, the gray bear, it needs for about at least 50 individual for one small population. We call it minimum viable population.
Okay.
But that's including Yellowstone National Park and also the Teton National Park.
Okay.
Another small one, very near to there. All the watershed, including 2 national park, for only 50 the population. But it's for 500 to reduce the so-called genetic drift. That will including the all watershed. That's about 10 times area of national park of Yellowstone.
Okay. It's certainly very enjoyable listening to these fascinating stories about national parks. We're going to take our final break on the program today, and when we come back, we'll continue our conversation with Professor Cheng Chien-Chung, who's going to tell us a little bit about his experiences as a teacher, as an educator on the environment and biology. I'll see you in just a few minutes. Welcome back to the final part of today's program here on the Taiwan Outlook. I'm your host, Ray Guo. We will continue our conversation with Professor Cheng Chien-Chung from the Kaohsiung Medical University to talk about his experiences as an educator, as a specialist in terms of the study and research of the environment and the biology. Professor, as I said, you are a renowned ecologist in Taiwan, and you've been teaching in the area of biology, in terms of the environment, and also statistics. And based on your years, vast experiences as an educator, what is the issue, the lesson that you have learned that by studying ecology that has taught to all of us as human beings?
Yes. I was trained as a population ecologist.
Okay.
Yeah. It means we are using mathematics, computer simulation models to study biology, to study populations, dynamics, and also the change of our lives. Taiwan is a small, tiny, I would say it's a very small area and also a tiny island. But it is quite important, because we are in a very key position along the Eurasia continent. But if we want to make our academic research very, very different, and as a prominent researcher, and also you can make some contributions with an international outstanding name, it is very difficult. It is because we are very, very small area, very small area. And our topic may be very local. But I'm a bit worried about for the researchers talking about some theoretical research to make some very general idea for the very big scenario of sciences. For example, for our ecological researchers, we are focusing on some species.
Of course.
We are focused on some habitats, or even for some ecosystems. But it's very rare to find people to study the mechanism, how the population is changing,
Yes.
how the ecosystem is running, how the community is organized,
Okay.
and even how are they changed from very abundant to very scarce. Yeah. So I'm a bit worried about if we are always local, we are concentrated on a very, so we say it's very local or very not so important topic around the world. We may ignore by international scientific field.
Okay.
Yeah.
And given the fact that, Professor, as we know, because of globalization, we are all part of the global community, living in the global village. So what happens in one part of the world certainly impacts all over, everybody. And we can certainly apply the same concept to the issue of ecology. So what happens here in Taiwan may have an ecological impact somewhere else in the world. And you also mentioned the fact that you felt some of the issues that we study here in Taiwan are a little too local.
Yeah.
So as an academic, educator, that you must have, experiences in terms of international academic exchanges and other activities you have done with other your counterpart, your peers around the world, including those from mainland China. And for the audience that you don't know, this Professor Cheng Chien-Chung is currently also the president of Chinese Wild Bird Federation in Taiwan. And you've done some exchanges with your counterparts in China. Can you share with us some of that experiences?
Yes, thank you. Yes, when we're talking about birds,
yes,
there's no so-called borderline. No borderline.
Yes.
So they always migrate.
Of course.
Always migrate. They always to live together. For example, for that very famous Chinese cricket tern, the so-called mythological bird, very, very rare. They say the population, the total population around the world is less than 20 or 25.
Okay.
But they're breeding in Mazu. Breeding in Mazu.
All right.
But they are foraging, they're eating, and they're mating. The courtship behavior always happened in mainland China.
Really?
Minjiang estuary,
Yes. Okay.
Minjiang Kou, in those areas. So we have to cooperate each other to preserve, to protect their habitats.
Okay.
Their habitats. And there's another one thing very interesting that 2 years ago, when we are doing some bird racing in Jinmen National Park.
Okay.
Yeah. Our counterpart, Xiamen Wild Society, they are doing the synchronized bird racing in Xiamen, Tong'an area.
Okay.
It's very near to Jinmen. The size, the area, and also the timing is exactly the same. And at that time, we're trying to compare the results. But finally, our friends in Xiamen, they found their biodiversity, it means the species abundance in Xiamen, is only about 1/3 in Jinmen.
Okay.
And the total population of white bird in Tong'an,
Compared with Taiwan.
compared with Jinmen,
Yes.
is all about 1/4. So they got some very, very sad conclusion. Their administration is not good as Jinmen.
Yes. But Professor, given the fact that we have done well in some areas of ecology, what are some of the challenges that you see in terms of continuing ecological research and studies in Taiwan?
Yes. I will give you another example.
Okay.
It happened this year.
All right.
Black-faced bonebil. It was, I would say it is, still is, the so-called the flagship, the icon of conservation in Taiwan. Because in Taiwan, we have more than half of population, half of the overwinter population, they stayed in Taiwan. in Tainan area.
Okay.
In Tainan area. But this year, that successively investigation for 20 years, we found the population, the overwinter population is going down, is declining. It was very sad for our birders.
Okay.
For our birders. And also, it is kind of warning to ecologists. And also, it is a sign to our government, to our other administration. That is something, I would say it is kind of a big challenge for all of us. For all of us. If it's global warming, or if it's the habitat changing, or if it's our environmental quality declining,
Yes.
or the cultural change, I would say the Taijiang National Park,
Yes.
they are the person, they are worried very much
Of course.
because they are having all our expectation. You should do something.
Yes.
You should do something. That is why we are encourage our colleagues in Taijiang National Park.
Okay.
We can do something together.
Okay. All right.
NGO people,
Yes.
academic researchers,
Of course.
government officers,
Okay.
and also the local people. We can cooperate each other to do the job.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Finally, for our program today, Professor Chen, we understand that relations between China and Taiwan are becoming closer, especially in terms of in the area of tourism. And we understand that at the end of June, we will have the individual Chinese visitors traveling to Taiwan on their own. And given the fact that we have 500 individual tourists coming in expected, and also 4,000 at least every day in the format of a group coming to Taiwan, do you think that there is a future for eco-tourism in Taiwan? How would you think with that, with the increasing number of tourists, not only from China, for other parts of the world as well, would that do, some impact on our ecological balance in Taiwan?
I'm quite optimistic to this kind of issue.
All right.
I always emphasize to our friend, to my friend, the relationship between China, mainland China, and Taiwan.
Yes.
So far, only business, only benefit,
Yes.
only money. If they cannot make money, it implies the relationship will be cut. That's very, very dangerous things. If we have some more relationship, for example, the protected area or reserves, we can work together.
Of course.
Or just like what you say, the ecotourism, the people, we can communicate to each other to know the places is very beautiful.
Of course.
It's very wonderful places, tremendous sight. They're going to see it. They want to protect this area
And
from
preserve
their
them.
yes, from their heart.
Yes.
They love these places. Okay, that's the point.
Okay.
And I would say some people, some birders in mainland China, now they're ready.
Okay.
They're coming.
Okay.
They're
They're
coming.
ready when the policy is available. Okay.
Especially for Xiamen, Shanghai, Beijing.
Beijing.
And they're coming.
Okay,
They're
good.
coming.
Thank you very much, Professor Chen, to being on the program today and certainly share with us, your views on the ecology, national parks in Taiwan. We certainly want to wish you all the best in your professional and personal endeavors in the future.
Let's work together. Let's work
Thank
together.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes. I want to thank you for watching our program today. I'll see you next time on MacroView Television. Thank you very much.